Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Russian Railroads. Russian Railroads is a very tight worker placement game where you're building railroads in Russia, as the name suggests. It plays with 2 to 4 players, and I personally think that this is one of the tightest, strongest, best Euro games that I've come across so far. Before I go too much further, I do need to put in a retraction. 2 episodes ago, when I was doing First Class, I misinformed you, saying that First Class and Russian Railroads came out around the same time. They did not. They do, however, have the same publisher, which is Z-Man Games, and same designer, which is Helmut Olli. I hope I've said that correctly. I'm sure that when you're watching any of my videos, any videos of other people reviewing or talking about games, they're usually going to get the names of people slightly wrong with the enunciation, as we don't hear these names unless we hear them from other reviewers. So, yeah, the First Class came out in 2016, which is last year. Russian Railroad is actually a 2013 game. Some people have actually said that First Class is a slightly lighter version, or a card version, of Russian Railroad. Other than having the designer, publisher, and rail theme in common, they actually are very different games to each other. So, Russian Railroad, why is it such a good game? It's when you get to the end of this game, and you get this feeling of accomplishment, but it's not just accomplishment. It's a feeling of, I've been through this super narrow gap and I've come out on the other side. As you're playing it, the first round, you'll notice that you only get like between about 7 and 11 points generally. That's kind of where, by the end of that first round, because we score every round. There's And each round, on top of that, the next round, you're probably going to get closer to 20 points. The one after that, you probably get closer to 30, 35. And by the end of the game, you're almost doing an entire lap of the score tracker. For each round, which suddenly gives you the feeling that you're making too many points. Or that you might have done something wrong. You haven't. That's how the game plays, and this is the beauty of it. Because everyone's making so darn many points at the end of the game, this game is actually won and lost in that first turn. Not irreparably, but if you're 1 or 2 points ahead at the beginning, that could actually give you the edge on the other end of the game. Because everyone's points, they do come in around about the same level. It's such a well-balanced game. There's a manipulative turn order, so one of your worker placement actions can be to change the turn order to put yourself as the first player. But when you're once the turn order has been organised and decided upon, there's a bonus card that comes out. In the second video, you'll probably, if you watch it, you'll see I actually forget about those bonus cards for a little while, and then halfway through I go, oh, that's right, bonus cards, and I retrofit the points for it. But in essence, it's the first player gets 0 bonus points, the second player will get 2 bonus points, third player 3 bonus points, and fourth player 4 bonus points at the end of that particular round when everyone scores everything. On top of that, there are multiple ways for you to score points. In the end, it's a Euro game, so it's a point salad. Whoever has most points at the end wins, okay? But there's 3 tracks on the base game. There is 2 expansions that I haven't really looked into yet, but I think that at least one of them manipulates that to make it a little bit more open. But there's three tracks that you're building along. You need to build rail on those tracks. You then need to get an engine that will be able to travel a certain distance, and at the end of each round you score points for depending on how far your engine is able to travel and on what type of track it's travelling. So the higher quality of track, the higher the points you're going to get. Within that, you've got 3 levels of track, or 3 different routes that you're able to choose from. I think they go to Kiev, St. Petersburg, and Vladivostok, going off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. You'll see it in the gameplay run-through video 2, of which one's which. But the length of the tracks, the top one is super long, the middle one and the bottom one are only 9 stations long or so. But if you look at the board, it looks like, oh, I should be doing this top track, the long one, because that's going to give me the most other railway lines to lay down. If you look at the bottom one, there's a whole bunch of bonus points there that you're going to get bonuses for for every one of those tracks that you've passed. Not just the one you're on, but all of the ones leading up to that as well. So that becomes huge bonus points. The one in the middle doesn't actually look like it does anything until you actually notice that it gives you these at various points. Like there's nothing, 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 then something happens where you get a bonus. And those bonuses are huge points, or can be huge points if you select them correctly. There are bonuses available, end-game scoring bonuses of cards that no one else knows what they are. And just this manipulation of which way should I go is really important. Oh, on top of that, you've also got things called factories. Factories are on the back of the engines. Once you've built these engines up, so you've built your train line, you've put an engine on, you've got 4 engines on your thing. You want to on your player board, you want to put in more engines. So what do? We have to retire one of these engines. When that gets retired, it's flipped over. Suddenly it's a factory that's now available to you. When you get the factories, it extends a scoring line on the bottom of your player board. And if you can move along that, you're getting those points every turn. Plus, the factory has a bonus. The bonus might be multiply the number on your engineer cards and by a certain other number. And if it gives you huge points. I think I got like 40 points or something off doing that one maneuver one time. So many points I looked at and gone, this has to be broken. But everyone's able to do it. So if everyone does that same maneuver, everyone gets those 40 points. Or however many it is. Just go with it. The other issue is that engineers are only available. There's only one of them available every round. So you've got to pick up those engineers. How do you get engineers? With money. How much money is there? You start with 1 coin. The best you can do is pick up 2 more coins each round, and that's if you're able to get to that spot. It's super tight with money. The other thing you can use your money for is if you don't have enough meeples to place on your spots, you can just send out a meeple and a coin, and that counts. So if there's a spot that needs 2 meeples for you to be able to maybe move 3 tracks ahead, you send out your meeple and your coin, you've got it, it's okay. But you're spending your money, which you can't spend anywhere else. It's just this really, really tight game. I've played it with 4 players, I've played it with 2 players, both feel really tight. The 2-player board has a slightly different side to the 3 and 4 player. The 3-player game is on the 4-player board but has 1 less turn, one less round to get all your points together. Man, is it satisfying when you get to the end of that game. Because you're sitting there through every round, especially as you get towards the ends of the rounds, going, oh, I really want to be able to do that. I really need to be able to do that. I need to extend my rail line before I can add some carriages. I need to add carriages before I'm going to be able to get points on these. I need to upgrade the rails that I'm using. There's so many different things going on. That you get locked in this, and then you end up doing something that isn't quite what you want to do, but something happens, and you get some points for it. The only negative on this one, and this is probably the same with all of those mid-weight Euro, as we get in towards the slightly heavier ones. This is mid-weight, but the amount of things that you can do, you need to understand them. So when you're explaining the game, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's about 10 possible things you can do on this side of the board, which are the different add the rail bits. There's another engineers bit. There's the turn order tracker, and then on the right hand side of the board, you've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different things that you can do as well. That's a lot of stuff to explain. But the beauty of this game and what they've really won at is the iconography just makes sense. Picture of a rail, the colour of that picture, an arrow means 1 rail. Super easy. Add 1 rail or move one of those rails of that colour along. If there's a question mark on it, it means you can use any colour. Super easy. The number of meeples that you need to activate any one spot, that's picture of 2 meeples if you need to, picture of 3 meeples if you need 3, 1 if you got. Yeah. It just all makes sense. So once it's kind of explained in the general terminology, rather than going, this means this, this means this, go for the generals, it suddenly it makes sense. And that's where the game really kind of hits its stride. You'll probably take a turn where everyone's kind of, if you're the owner of the game, I would suggest set yourself up as the first player to start with. They'll all go, oh, but they get bonuses. they get the bonus points. There's another bonus that goes for being later in the turn order on the first turn. But what I found is when I went first, everyone just started following what I was doing, going, oh, I see how that works. Okay, I will probably do that first when I'm first player. And they get a feel for how the game runs and how it flows. Once it's flowing, it does run fairly quickly. The box says 90 to 120 minutes, so hour and a half to 2 hours. It's probably fairly accurate. With less players, obviously, it's going to run a whole bunch faster. I fear that this game could put people in a huge position of analysis paralysis, but not too much because, you know what, by the time you get to that point, there's not too many choices for them to have. So they're going to have to either take this one here, which they may not want everything of, or this one here, which isn't going to get them as much as what they really want, which is the stuff that was taken in the first round. In terms of worker placement games, I think this is one of the most solid ones that I've come across so far. I really, really strongly suggest having a look at Russian Railroads if you don't know the game already. Yeah, look, I can't express my love for this game enough, and I never quite get it to the table quite as much as I want to. I've even got it to the table with a guy who I've only ever really played light filler games with, and he really enjoys the filler games. Like, he has no problem with Euros, but late at night it tends to, no, I need to be the light filler so my brain's not exploding. He loved it. He loved it. So, Michael, if you're watching, thank you for playing with me. Okay, that didn't sound right. Okay, moving on. Look, that's all I've got to say about Russian Railroad. Go on and watch the videos. I haven't edited yet, so I'm assuming that I've got through the Gamesplanation in just one video. The second one is a playthrough of a couple of turns, so you can see how the game actually flows once you're into it. If you've got any comments or suggestions, please write them below. Subscribe to my videos so you can keep up to date with the games I'm gamesplaining. If you have any games that you wish to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and until next time, enjoy gaming.